Let's first talk about the specific characteristics of kingdom Animalia. The organisms in kingdom Animalia are multicellular and eukaryotic in their cell structure. They are heterotrophic, they depend on outside source for their food requirement. They do not have a cell wall in their cell, and they have specialized cells and tissues. These are multicellular organisms. So different cells group together to form tissues, and different tissues group together to form organs. So they have different levels of organization. They are highly diverse. They can be found on land or water or air. They mainly reproduce through sexual reproduction. The kingdom Animalia is divided into vertebrata and invertebrata. Vertebrates are the animals with vertebral column, and invertebrates are animals that do not have the vertebral column. The members of kingdom Animalia have advanced nervous system and muscular system. There are several characteristics based on which the members of kingdom Animalia are put into different classes, families, or phyla. So let's look at the main characteristics. First is the symmetry of body. Animals can be asymmetrical. They can be radially symmetrical, like you can see the radial symmetry here or here, and they can be bilaterally symmetrical. That means the left and right side are mirror images. They have body cavity. So for example, what you can see here, this is the body of an organism, and between the inner tissues or inner organs and the outer lining there is a space called coelom. So this, if the coelom is present, they are called coelomates. And if there are body cavities but they are not like a continuous body cavity, but they are smaller patches of these cavities, then it's a pseudo coelom. It's not a true coelom. And sometimes there is no body cavity at all. So these are the internal organs and these are the external layers, and in between there is no cavity. So they are called acoelomates. In the members of kingdom Animalia, you can see the presence of segments, like you see segmentation here, or the segmentation here, or the segmentation might be absent. The presence or absence of a backbone or a vertebral column is a very important characteristic required for the classification of the members of kingdom Animalia. So in today's lecture, we are mainly covering the invertebrates, and in next lecture, we'll be talking about the vertebrates. In terms of reproduction, animals mainly display sexual reproduction, but some animals can also show asexual reproduction. Animals lay eggs, or they may keep their egg for some time in the body of the female partner, which is called the ovovivipary. And vivipary is when the young ones are produced, not in the egg, but just like what human beings do. The digestive tract can be incomplete or complete. Incomplete is where you have a mouth, but you don't have an anus. So the excretion also happens through the mouth. And a complete would be where you have a distinct mouth and then an anus. Presence of exoskeleton or endoskeleton. Exoskeleton is the skeleton which is present exteriorly, and endoskeleton is like what we see in human beings, an internal skeleton. So endoskeleton is seen here, the skeleton is inside the body, but exoskeleton, for example, what we see in insects, there is hard protective layer of chitinous material outside of body and not inside. They may also have varying habitats and adaptations. You can find animals all over the place, like for example in tropical forests, in tundras, or even in deserts. To live in these different conditions, they're supposed to have different adaptations in their bodies for the climatic and edaphic conditions. Now let's look at what are the features required for the classification of members of kingdom Animalia. So animals are multicellular organisms, but they may just have a cellular level of organization, or these cells can group together to form tissues and organs. So that is the first feature of classification. Then these animals can have radial or bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry, like you see in human beings, the left and right side are like mirror images. But radial symmetry is also seen in animals like starfish or jellyfish. When you have bilateral symmetry, there can be a body cavity absent, or a false one present, or a true one present. So based on these major characteristics, we see that the animals can be classified into different groups. But the major category is decided by the presence or absence of a vertebral column. So the first phylum in kingdom Animalia that we're going to talk about is Porifera. Porifera includes sponges, because by the name it says that the organisms have pores in their bodies. They are multicellular organisms and they are mostly marine. They are sessile and they have porous bodies. So they are attached to the substrate. They are not freely moving. That's why they are called sessile, and they have pores all over their body. Through these pores, they can circulate water, through which they not only obtain the nutrients but can also exchange respiratory gases. Common examples are Cycon, Spongilla, and Euspongia. Euspongia is also used as the bath sponge. Porifera body consists of three main layers. The outer layer is called epidermis, the middle layer is called mesohyal, and the innermost layer has the functional cells called the choanocytes. On the outer side, they also have tiny spicules which are there for protection and support. Porifers have water canal system in which the water flows inside their body and then exits through the osculum. The water brings in nutrients with it and takes out the waste product. The innermost cells, called the choanocytes, trap the food particles with the help of this collar, and with the flapping of this flagella, they take up the particles inside their cell where the main digestion happens. Porifers are asexual as well as sexual. They can reproduce asexually by budding and by fragmentation, and sexually by the formation of gametes. They are hermaphrodite, that means both male and female organs and characters are present in all the organisms. The next phyla is Cnidaria. Cnidaria consists of jellyfish, sea anemone, and corals. They also have radially symmetrical bodies and they are mostly marine. Their name is derived from a special stinging cells called cnidocytes present in their bodies. The animals have diploplastic body form, which means they have two main tissue layers, the outer epidermis and the inner gastrodermis. They have very simple nervous system, but yes, they do have a nervous system called the nerve net. In their life form, they exhibit two main body forms, one which remains attached to the substrate called polyp, and the other one that can move around freely called medusa. Cnidarians have specialized cells called cnidocytes. They have a stinging structure in them called the nematocyst. They perform the function of defense and capture of the prey. There is a sensory hair present on top of these cnidocysts. When this hair structure is stimulated by contact with a prey or other mechanical or chemical cues, the flap opens, leading to the flipping out of cnidocyst, and this thread comes out, which performs the function of attack with the barb that has spicules on them. The body of polyp and medusa also have these tentacles present on their body, which help in capturing the prey and bringing the food into the mouth. The body cavity is called a gastrovascular activity because it performs the function of digestion as well as the nutrient distribution in these organisms. Cnidarians can reproduce asexually by budding in polyp or sexually by producing gametes in medusa. So the life cycle contains different stages called polyp and medusa. The next phylum is platyhelminths, means flat worms. They have bilateral symmetry. They have triploblastic layer, which means they contain ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. They are acoelomates, that means they do not have a true body cavity. The main examples are planarians, tapeworms, and flukes. The anatomy of platyhelminths shows that they have a dorso-ventrally flattened body. They do not have any specialized circulatory or respiratory system, and the gaseous exchange occurs by diffusion. They have only one opening called the mouth from which they take the food in, and they also excrete the waste out of the same opening. They have simple nervous system with pair of ganglia and nerve cord present in their bodies. They contain eye spots which can perceive light in the non-parasitic form, that means which are living outside the body of the host. Flat worms can reproduce asexually by regeneration, or they can also have sexual reproduction in which there is fertilization and formation of zygotes. Most of the flat helminths are hermaphrodites, that means both male and female organs are present in the same worm. They also have some parasitic forms such as tapeworm, which lives in the intestine of human beings, and fluke, which are present in the blood or tissues. They have these specialized structures called hooks and suckers, which help them in attaching with the tissues and organs inside their host body. The next phylum is Nematoda, that consists of roundworms such as ascaris, whipworm, or pinworm. They are found in variety of habitats such as soil, freshwater, marine, and they can also be parasitic, living inside the body of a host. Their body form is cylindrical and asegmented. They do not have segments like you see in the other organisms. These worms are pseudocoelomates, that means they have false body cavities and they have a complete digestive tract starting from the mouth to the anus. They have tough covering around them made up of cuticles for protection and flexibility. They have a very simple nervous system with a nerve ring and longitudinal nerve cords that you can see here and here. The excretory system includes rennet cells, and they form tubules for the removal of waste from the surface of the body. They mostly reproduce by sexual method, and the sexes are separate. That means male and female are different, and these organisms are called dioecious. Here you can see in the picture the male looks different from the female form. That is called the sexual dimorphism. The female worm is generally bigger in size than the male worm. Several of these roundworms are parasitic on human beings. For example, ascaris, that causes abdominal pain, malnutrition, and intestinal obstruction in human beings, or hookworms that causes anemia, fatigue, and abdominal discomfort, or filarial worm which causes swelling of lymph nodes in limbs, also called elephantiasis, and they cause fever as well.